I have been a GP in Singapore now for 7 years and started up my own clinic.
You might be surprised to know that I'm actually iron deficient. What am I doing wrong?
Actually, it's really, really common to see women our age with iron deficiency. I probably see one female a day with iron deficiency. It's actually a problem that we see in all age groups. The great thing about bolognese is we often have it with tomato and capsicum, and they're really rich in vitamin C, and that helps with the absorption of iron.
More controversially, Ozempic.
These GLP-1 medicines have been a bit of a revelation. Not just an effect on insulin, but also they work in the brain to reduce your desire for food, and it also turns off food noise. Because not only actually do they turn off food centers, but they turn off alcohol cravings as well. The problem is, of course, because...
How important is regulating your sugar?
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole point. So what happens is
Hi, I'm Amy, and this is What's on Your Plate by The Meat Club. Each week, we dive into real conversations about what we eat, why it matters, and how to build a better plate one bite at a time. If you enjoy the show, hit like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram at The Meat Club SG. Let's dive into the episode. Today, we have a close friend, Dr. Laura Biffin. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for having me.
2 days in a row.
Oh my gosh. I know, I feel like I've seen your family a little bit recently. Always fun.
I know. Oh my gosh. And I have to say a big thank you for the care and attention you gave Harriet. She came in, and I won't tell anyone what was going on, but as a GP, I think your superpower is your bedside manners.
Oh, thanks.
You are so amazing. Harriet was teary, as you'll remember, and you just put her at ease so quickly. So she had a middle ear infection, and was obviously in a lot of pain.
Yes,
and I was so grateful that you could see us so late in the day as well. So thank you.
Anytime, Amy.
Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
So I have been a GP in Singapore now for 7 years. I was at a big GP company for 6 years, and then I recently left and started up my own clinic on River Valley Road. And so far it's me and a nurse, and I've got a couple of doctors coming in October. But it's been really fun. Starting up my own thing and ordering my own medicines and getting a marketer in, but doing all of the marketing's been a big change. And thank you for your help regarding all of that, because it's something I obviously never studied at uni. So it's been a big learning curve.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's
SEOs and SSOs, like what are those?
What is SEM? And what's the difference between SEM and SEO? Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. I'm still getting my head around it. But
learning on the job.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're a GP, but before that you were a pharmacist as well.
Yes, back in when I first left university, I did pharmacy and studied as did my internship in pharmacy and worked as a pharmacist for 1 year, and then I went back to do medicine at Sydney Uni again, and then Scott got the opportunity to move to Singapore, and so I luckily was able to find a job up here.
Amazing.
And then I did my family medicine diploma up in Singapore.
So you're a family GP, so you're a bit of can I say a jack of all trades? You've got children yourself?
Yes, 3 children. That's the role of a GP. You can see everybody for everything, and hopefully know a little bit about every single little thing, or know who to refer to if you don't know.
It's funny you talk about things that you don't know. The irony here is I went and got my bloods recently, and you might be surprised to know that I'm actually iron deficient.
Amy.
I know.
This is very ironic and a very timely conversation.
It's not only, I mean, there is a lot of irony in my career because I got made redundant. I started the company when I was pregnant, as you know, due to cravings for meat, probably iron. And then I probably took some time away from eating a lot of meat myself, but now recently in entering my 40s, I'm finding that I need it more and more, and I'm enjoying it more than ever. But I'm quite shocked that I would have low iron.
Man.
You know, I even go to the point of having mince for breakfast these days. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. So actually it's really, really common to see women our age with iron deficiency. I probably see one female a day with iron deficiency. It's so common.
Yeah.
But maybe we should start from little kids or babies and get to our age group, because it's actually a problem that we see in all age groups.
Really?
So little kids, and then definitely adolescent females and middle-aged women. I'll start to see a lot of iron deficiency. We don't really see it in men very often. If we see it in men, we really worry about some underlying medical condition.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, probably beyond the scope of today.
Okay.
But certainly, so babies, when they're born, they've got about 6 months of iron that's stored in their blood that they've gotten from their mother or in their bone marrow. And then, but after the 6 months, that's when our iron stores start to dwindle and where we might start wanting to supplement or start solids. The interesting thing about breast milk is it doesn't have that much iron, but it does have this protein called lactoferrin, which makes the iron that's in the breast milk very absorbable.
Okay.
So breast milk's amazing.
Okay.
Cow's milk, on the other hand, doesn't have much iron, and not only does it not have much iron, it fills up kids.
Okay.
And it has a protein in it called casein that actually stops it helps inhibit the absorption of iron.
Okay.
And calcium, which is in the milk, also inhibits the absorption of iron. So we definitely don't want to give our kids cow's milk any younger than 1.
Okay.
And even saying that, I see a lot of kids and I call them milkaholics because they drink so much milk, over 500 mils of milk a day, and they can really start becoming iron deficient.
Yeah, wow.
And they have this funny look. You can kind of say you can kind of see it.
Can I say like the really cute Michelin babies, like little squishy little,
and they've kind of got a whitish pale look as well.
Okay.
But so iron is really, really important, and that's why at 6 months we start wanting to introduce really iron-rich foods, fortified iron cereals, bolognese, mashed up spinach and broccoli, all into their solids diet and regimen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously the kids are getting older, they get a bit more fussy. So we have to start really pushing the iron, B12 protein intake because it's super all important for their brain development.
B12 is from the sun?
No, that's vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
B12 we can actually only get from animal products.
Okay.
So it's either milk and cheese, so dairy products, or meat. So obviously a real problem for vegetarians. Oh, sorry, not vegetarians, vegans. Vegetarians will generally have dairy and eggs. Great B12's in eggs, which is amazing. But our vegan population will often be low in B12. So it's so they'll have to have generally we'll have to have a supplement.
Okay.
Otherwise, I mean, B12 is super important for their brain development, nerve development. It's got red blood cells, really important in red blood cell formation. So,
and is it especially acute for adolescents, as you mentioned, when they're entering like puberty?
Yeah. So
menstrual cycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for females, as we're getting older, the 3 huge hormonal shifts is puberty, pregnancy, and then perimenopause and menopause. Yeah. So those 3 times we will actually see a massive increase in the need for iron.
Okay.
So when we start periods around 12 to 14, they are often really heavy, and it's because the brain to ovarian axis is really immature, and it gives itself really funny signals and making you can have very long, heavy periods just because the messaging hasn't quite matured into a really well-functioning machine.
Okay.
And so young girls are like, what is this? This is like the worst thing ever. And I generally will tell them, look, it is going to settle down. And most of the time it does. But their needs of iron, because they're losing so much iron every month, and not every month, sometimes it's twice a month because because it's really just irregular, are really high. So, and that's of course also the time that girls are becoming maybe a bit more picky, having a bit more autonomy over their food choices. And so maybe that will mean, you know, I just want a bag of chips for lunch, or I just don't want to eat anything today. And that obviously their intake's reduced and their output is increased. So they have got a double whammy for being iron deficient. And then put that together with maybe an absorption issue. So, you know, if you've got a kid with celiac disease or some sort of gut absorption issue, well, that would be a triple whammy.
So I'm kind of reading into this. I have a piece of steak, don't have a glass of milk. Rule number one.
Yeah. What about tea?
I don't drink tea.
Okay. And because tea is actually also a bit of an inhibitor of iron absorption. So my big teaaholics.
I mean, I even chase it with vitamin C.
I was going to say.
Which is an absorption, right?
Yeah, it helps. So I was going to say the one great thing about bolognese is we often have it with tomato and capsicum.
Yeah.
And they're really rich in vitamin C, and that helps with the absorption of iron.
Okay, of course.
So that's a really great, and it's such a crowd favourite, a lasagna.
Oh, I love a good lasagna.
Spag bowl. Yeah. Like who doesn't like that?
Doesn't. It's all cut for me. The lasagna comes down to the bechamel sauce.
Totally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And getting it crispy on the top. A lot of cheese.
Recipe to be shared later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so babies, weaning.
Yep.
Adolescence and the menstrual cycle.
Yep.
I find this place really interesting because I remember reading and listening a while back about the very distinct phases within the month for a woman that then has a mature cycle around follicular, luteal, ovulation, and then obviously menstruation. Have I put those in the right order?
Not quite.
Oh, sorry.
So it goes follicular. Then you have your ovulation. Then you have luteal, and then you have then your menstruation.
Okay, so I had two in the middle mixed up.
Yeah.
But what was fascinating with this Dr. Alyssa Atiti, is that she had studied like what foods to eat, how to, what ways to work best, what exercise you should be doing in those distinct phases, and even loading up on like really dense micronutrients when you have had your menstrual cycle, because you have obviously lost a lot already.
Yeah, exactly.
So what would those be typically? Are we talking about like just, tucking into a piece of, I feel it's steak? Are we talking about fruits and vegetables?
I think it's both. I think it's obviously fruits and vegetables and iron-rich foods and protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But there's not enough, unfortunately, evidence about, maybe they have a differing opinion. But we don't know enough about when to, people will talk about, should you fast in the luteal phase, or when should you exercise, or should you do, HIIT-based exercise at the start and then more yoga at the end? Yep. I mean, we don't know.
What do you say then? Is it just do what makes you feel good?
Of course. And then, I do think that around that luteal phase, so the second phase of your period, it's when you generally starting to feel like not as good. You've gone through ovulation. Some of your hormones have started to crash, and just to get out of bed is a win at that time. So maybe taking it a little bit easier during those last 2 weeks, and then going hard when you feel really good and you're really feeling vibrant in the first day 1 to day 14 of your cycle.
Okay.
So then I suppose we were going to get on to pregnancy, your other big hormonal shift in life. So our iron needs go through the roof. They were 3 times what the normal normal intake would be. Around a pregnancy, and that's because our baby actually is going and storing it all for when they're out of the womb. Yeah. So I see lots and lots of females with iron deficiency in pregnancy, and they have these really, and all women with iron deficiency can get these symptoms, but I see it really acutely in pregnancy. Okay. So obviously you're really tired anyway, but they're dead tired. They can't get out of bed, really short of breath, which we get in pregnancy anyway because your baby's pressing on your ribs, but it gets worse. And then often you'll get restless legs. I don't know if you're getting restless legs. I don't even know if you've had restless legs before, but it's a really crazy symptom, and you're trying to lie in bed and you feel like your legs need to they've got an electric pulse and the pulse has to go. And if it doesn't go, you can't sleep. And it's really annoying because people can't sleep and it keeps them awake all night.
Oh, okay.
And often, a really good iron infusion or a replenishment of their iron
sorry, you're
stores.
saying the restless legs is due to
iron deficiency.
Oh, I thought you would have been the opposite.
No. It's from iron deficiency. So iron's really important for nerve stability as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So often giving them an iron infusion.
Yeah.
So often we'll say to patients, iron infusions and supplementing with iron, it doesn't work overnight. You've got to do it. Oral iron supplements you'll need to take for 3 months before you might notice anything.
Yeah.
An iron infusion, because it's bypassing the absorption issue, it's going straight into your veins and then into your bone marrow, it will take 2 weeks or 1 to 2 weeks to feel better. But amazingly, the restless legs almost gets better, within that night. Generally, not always, but it's that works really quickly.
So you just said, sorry, this probably sound very uneducated here, but you just mentioned iron goes into your bone marrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How?
It gets taken in by the long ends of the bones and it gets transported in and then it gets incorporated into the red blood cells. So all our cells are made in our bone marrow.
Yeah. I knew that much, but I hadn't, again, this sounds so silly. I hadn't appreciated that stuff would go in. I guess it was just kind of...
Things come out. Our bones are amazing. Our bones are, you think they're just this dead structure, but they're a very metabolically active structure that
Isn't
inside,
that fascinating?
Lots of things are happening. And so the red blood cells are being made in there and the iron's got to go in there because it's connecting the heme. It's connecting the heme, which connects the iron. The oxygen.
So, sorry, I know we're going back in time a little bit to adolescence, but when you're going through growing pains...
growing pains, we don't think, I don't
Two
think
different
we know.
things?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if we've
things.
ever worked out whether iron deficiency and growing pains
are related.
Certainly, if I had a young family, bring a young woman who'd come in and said that they were having terrible growing pains, I would generally do a blood test on them anyway and check. Okay. Because yes, look, it could be, but maybe that's another deficiency. I'll often see young women with vitamin D deficiency, which is what we were talking about, with lots of aches and bone pain.
Okay.
And that can be a vitamin D deficiency.
Interesting.
So vitamin D is the one we get from the sun, but we also get it from fish. Salmon's a great source of vitamin D. But we're meant to have about 10 minutes of sun a day to get a good amount.
So if I'm out in the sun wearing this, am I getting any vitamin D?
Not really. A little. Well, yes, on your face and your chest.
Or if I got sunscreen on?
I still would always say everybody needs to wear their sunscreen. Yeah. But yes, if we can get a little bit more fresh air and sunlight in our day, that would be always helpful.
Okay. So let's just fast forward. We've gone through puberty. Yeah. We've gone through pregnancy. Yeah. We've had our child, postpartum.
Yes.
What is that recovery looking like?
Well, of course, everybody's delivery is different and some people lose heaps of blood during their delivery, and C-sections, you lose quite a lot of blood as well. Yep. So you will often come home with your little beautiful baby in this hormonal bubble and not realise how tired you are or know how tired you are but think it's just normal. Yeah. And it might be a while before you go back to a GP and say, hey, is this normal?
Yeah.
I'm super tired. Yeah. I'm feeling really short of breath still. Yeah. And then we'll delve into how much blood did they lose? What was their delivery like? Yeah. Also, have you even had time to eat? Have you got someone who's making you nice, nutritious foods, or are you just snacking on whatever you can find in the fridge?
Yeah. Which is probably very often the case, especially in a country like this, which is so fast-paced. And even though we might have the benefit of a helper, you were probably not looking after ourselves the way that we should.
Yes, exactly.
So then perimenopause?
Yeah. So in perimenopause, there's some massive big swings of estrogen that can cause loss of the endometrial lining, and with that lining is a lot of loss of blood. So I'll see it then again, iron deficiency in the perimenopausal stage.
So, and through all these phases, is the advice, more or less the same around, diet, obviously, exercise, and just loading into whole foods?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I suppose being more mindful during those periods of high stress and major hormonal changes.
So say classic case, and I'm sorry to bring it back to me because I don't want to, but I'm just now intrigued. I don't drink tea.
Yeah.
I don't drink dairy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of whole foods, including, vitamin-rich foods.
Yes.
I go to the extent of having mince with my eggs at breakfast.
Yeah. So your intake sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what's happening with your output? That would be where I would be taking the conversation. And then if that's not that bad.
Hang on, output being what?
Periods.
Okay.
Yeah. So how heavy are they?
Yeah.
How often are they happening?
Yeah.
And then if that's not, we don't really think that's the issue, then we'd be looking at absorption issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be continued.
Yeah.
We'll go down that rabbit hole in person. In clinic, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've pretty much covered that.
Yes. Section.
More controversially, if I could ask about Ozempic.
Oh, yeah.
And the role what's the drug or hormone related to Ozempic that is, what a GP?
So it's a GLP-1 agonist, which is basically it helps modulate insulin. So insulin is what the problem in diabetics. So making far too much insulin for the amount of carbohydrates you're eating, which can cause weight gain.
Okay.
And sugar dysregulation.
Yeah.
So these GLP-1 medicines have been a bit of a revelation.
Okay.
They've not just an effect on insulin, but also they work in the brain to reduce your desire for food.
Okay.
So you feel full faster, and it also turns off food noise. So, after eating lunch and it's coming up to snack time, people who would always go and have, am I going to have a little croissant for my morning snack? They'll forget about it and they won't eat that.
Okay.
And so it cuts down a lot of snacking as well. And yes, the portion sizes get smaller.
Okay.
So for my patients who I've obviously put on these medications, because they do change lives, because not only actually do they turn off food centres, but they turn off alcohol cravings as well. So I'll have a lot of patients who will stay on them even though once they've lost the weight, they're like, it stops me from drinking a bottle of wine every night. I'm like,
wow,
that sounds
I did
great.
not know that.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Also, they've got all these anti-inflammatory side effects. So women who have got rheumatoid arthritis, they're like, my joints are so much better. I have a lady who's got fibromyalgia and she's like, my fibromyalgia feels so much better since I've been on the GLP-1.
So what's that?
Oh, it's like a chronic pain condition that's really hard to treat.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the problem is, of course, because people aren't getting the same food stimulus that they used to.
Or volume.
So the volume, they're not eating as much and they're not getting told, their brain's not saying eat, eat, eat. We have to be really mindful of what they do eat. So when they go to sit down and have their meal, I really tell them explicitly that they've got to make sure they're eating their protein and their vegetables and, putting the more carbies, the rice and the potatoes and the breads to the back end of their meal, fill up on the other stuff, and if you've still got room, then yes, go by all means have the brown rice and the quinoa.
Wow.
But yeah,
so it does have a very good place, particularly for the patients that you see that are suffering these chronic diseases or issues.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. The other problem the wonderful thing about the medications is that you lose weight, but the problem is you don't just lose fat, you can lose muscle mass.
Okay.
And I don't want anybody to lose their muscle mass. So I always have to tell them, not only I need you to get to the gym, I need you to lift weights, but you also need to prioritize protein.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody losing their muscle.
Yeah, right. So why would you lose muscle?
It's just because you're not eating, you're going through periods of fasting.
Okay.
It just burns fat and protein at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And are you seeing a big surge in Ozempic use?
Yeah, huge. Not just Ozempic, Mounjaro we have as well.
Okay.
So yeah, the two of them.
And probably a worldwide thing, not just Singapore specific.
Totally,
yeah.
I'm sure. I think, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So being a mum of 3.
Yeah.
Husband's working full time, you've got your own clinic. How do you kind of wrap your busy life and, approach to food in a household that I have no doubt is very busy?
Yeah. So I'm so lucky. I have 2 helpers.
Yep.
And one of my helpers is a phenomenal cook, and she is a whiz in the kitchen.
Yep.
And she makes everything whole food. She's like if we came home with McDonald's, she'd think it was an abomination. And look, we're a normal family, and every now and again on the weekend that would be a big treat. But she really helps make, she'll do massive bolognese cook-ups once every couple of weeks. She freezes them all in little silicone pouches and puts them in the freezer. We've got 3 freezers. So it makes life really easy for me on a Sunday when maybe she's not around. I can pull out a nice bolognese. She'll do, she loves making curry chicken, a Japanese curry chicken. She has all of these little tricks that we have a lot in the freezer, so I'll mix those things with rice or pasta for the kids. And then generally what will happen, she'll make a big salad for Scott and I, and then Scott will get it on the barbecue and cook a nice piece of meat. We had ribs last night. And
amazing.
Scott's a really, really good cook.
Is he?
Yeah. He should have been a chef, actually.
Okay.
Well, not should have been. He could have been.
He could have been.
Yeah. He's very particular and he's very good.
Yeah, okay.
So, he's wasted in the finance industry. I say it all the time.
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
Oh, that can be his next life.
Yes, exactly.
Next life. So you've been in Singapore for, remind me?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Have you seen a bit of a shift in the way that, everyone from locals to expats are approaching like wellness and food? I mean,
it's becoming a much bigger thing. I mean, there's a whole lot of longevity clinics now that was never around 7 years ago.
Like, without sounding cliche, I feel like everyone is looking at what's on their plate.
Yes, 100%.
Which is fantastic. Yeah. Something that, as an Australian, I feel like we tended to do
anyway. Yeah.
But that was probably not just cultural, but I guess having the abundance of produce that we have, it just came naturally.
Yes.
It's so exciting to see it here.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've observed?
I suppose the thing I mainly worry about, though, although we're so aware, is that because most of our food is imported, I do worry about whether there's any reduction in the quality of the food, especially the fruits and the vegetables. And I do see a bit of folic acid deficiency here, which I've got patients who are like, all I do is eat fruits and vegetables all day long.
Okay.
And they still are folic acid deficient. And I wonder if it's that quality of all this imported produce, where compared to Australia, where it's basically coming from the farm.
Of course.
So,
and you have to not forget, like, you can't put fresh produce in a ship.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's got to get flown.
It's got to get flown. And you'd be surprised or shocked to see what happens in that, an environment which is spiking in temperature, obviously altitude. Yeah. It's really hard to get consistency in good fruit and vegetables. We see it in our industry for sure.
Yeah.
I think one thing I get excited about is all of our product is spiral frozen in Australia. And it's all cut and packed at the source. Right. So no one's touching it. There's no middle handling. There's no kind of unnecessary freezing and defrosting cycles, and therefore like very little contamination.
Yeah, right.
I think if you were to compare that to, ultra processed foods, which obviously are on the aisles of every convenience, supermarket or local, corner store. I think that's where there could be a bigger push to introduce more health foods. You go to Australia, and what I love is spending time in the health food aisle, which is just taking up more and more aisles in the supermarket. Yeah. And that transition I can see is coming here too. Yeah. But could probably, I would just be so excited for it to happen at a quicker pace. Totally. Do you see that a lot of the time people are coming in
usually with a bag full of vitamins and putting them all on my table, like, what should I take? Yeah. So, I mean, people are obviously really interested and want to get involved. Yeah. there's and by all means, I'm happy to help guide them. Sometimes they bring in things I've never heard of.
Oh, really?
Well, of course, like there's so much out there on iHerb. You can buy anything.
Something new and of a different colour and genre.
I mean, everyone's into mushrooms and lion's manes and all of this weird stuff now that, you know, I'm trying to learn about and get my head around.
Yeah, I've heard of it as well.
Yeah.
So then I guess just bringing it back to your personal experience, you've got 3 kids. How do you kind of educate them on, you know, this is a whole food ingredient.
Yeah.
This is coming from a packet.
Yeah.
What do you do in that scenario?
And maybe I'm very privileged because we don't really, because Sally's there making these meals, we've just on their plates, it's always vegetables.
Yep.
It's always a bit of a carbohydrate and then some sort of protein. So, you know, we'll just say to them, this is such good food. Sally's such a good cook. We're so lucky to have such beautiful food.
Yeah.
And then I guess, you know, every now and then we'll get out a packet of tiny teddies. Yeah. You know, after swimming lessons, they know that they're getting a packet of tiny teddies. Yeah. Like, this is a massive treat. You guys, you know that this is for, you know, all your good swimming you've been doing. Yeah. And we just try and make the processed stuff, the stuff that's in packets, treats, the stuff that's coming, you know, not out of packets from the fridge or straight from the supermarket.
Just keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just don't buy it. I think that's
that's kind of what
you don't buy is not in your door.
I don't have to really, you know, I mean, it's going to get harder as they get older because there's going to be money in pockets where they can go into a shop and buy things. I certainly try and minimise the lollies, so to just birthdays. Yeah. They will let them have a bit of chocolate here and there.
Well, I think deprivation only leads to the opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, I know for sure my girls have got sweet tooths.
Yes.
And when they're babies, you know, you limit it, if not eliminate it altogether. I think that approach definitely doesn't work for us. And I have introduced, you know, it might be like banana ricotta pancakes with chocolate, you know, for breakfast, which is probably not good from a glucose perspective, but just trying to introduce it so that it doesn't have to be this big moment where they have to gorge on it. It's not something that it's in that is so rare that they have to feel like I've got to hold on to this. This is huge. Yeah. Speaking of glucose, actually, you mentioned, I think, about, you know, sugar monitoring back to the insulin. How important is regulating your sugar?
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Yeah. Because sugar going up and then insulin going up so what happens is you eat glucose, so that could be in the form of any carbohydrate, so rice and pasta, but also lollies. Lollies are like a jelly bean. It's just basically pure glucose. So you eat it and it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, and it all looks like glucose. It's all glucose pretty much when it hits the bloodstream. And the pancreas then releases insulin to take that glucose and put it into the cell for energy. So where were we going with that again?
Glucose spikes.
So what happens is your glucose goes up, and then your insulin goes up to match it. And what happens is that insulin pulls that glucose down into the cell, so you can have a massive crash. And at that crash, your brain then fires off and says, "Give me more glucose. I'm going to die if I don't get more glucose." And so then we go and reach for more, and then this cycle happens over and over again, where we're having glucose spikes, insulin spikes, glucose spikes, insulin spikes.
Oh, gosh.
And that just leads to actually really, it's a insulin dysregulation and metabolic dysfunction. And that's why we think we're starting to see more and more fatty liver disease.
Oh, wow.
And diabetes. Yeah.
Wow.
And lots of other, we think.
Sounds like a roller coaster.
Yes. And that's why, I mean, we think sugar cravings and sugar crashes are really related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're trying to cancel each other out.
Exactly. Okay. So, well, the sugar craving is is treating the sugar crash that you've just experienced, and your brain is just addicted to sugar, wants it. Yeah. So, one thing that I recommend is trying to introduce more low GI foods, especially in the morning.
Okay.
So I try
GI being
glycemic index. So it's how quickly glucose is absorbed into the blood.
Okay.
So I'm a big advocate for savoury breakfast rather than sweet breakfast. I really don't like cereals. I think cereals are just generally, there's not many cereals that I would say are very healthy in the morning. I prefer kids having avocados and eggs or on rye bread and sourdough bread to stop these big sugar spikes and then crashes.
Yeah, I get it because I read a little bit about it, and the idea of a, cereal or even like a fruit smoothie, which sounds, or an acai bowl,
sounds so healthy.
Sounds healthy. Yeah. You go up, you come down, and then all of a sudden at 10 o'clock, you're craving something that is equally as high in sugar to counteract it. Yeah. I've recently transitioned to more savory breakfast as a result, and you do feel fuller for longer. It sounds cliche, but it's, you can hold off until lunch if you wanted to.
Yeah. And I suppose one of my other things that I really worry about, especially in what we see a lot in modern day diets, is liquid sugars. So drinking lots of fruit juices, even in smoothies. I mean, smoothies are a bit better because you've got all the fibre from the fruit, but certainly drinking juice, which is basically just sugar, hits the bloodstream really quickly. Yeah. Again, you just see a massive sugar spike, even bigger than eating a piece of cake. You'd see a fruit juice spike. So obviously, in Singapore we have a lot of bubble teas, obviously Coke and all the sodas, but fruit juice. People forget how dysregulating a fruit juice can be on our sugar levels.
Am I right to say, so instead of looking at like an elimination, so, I love hypothetically, I don't drink water, I only go for juice. I've got a girlfriend in Australia that's like that, by the way. Anyway, if I have to have the juice, what is it right to say that if I have, a bowl of fibre to begin with, be it broccoli or like spinach leaves with vinaigrette,
it's going to be so much better.
So much better.
Totally.
And so you'll be better than me at this. Why is that? What does that do?
Just because of the absorption. When you've eaten your big broccoli and all your salad foods, and that's going to line your gut, so the fruit juice doesn't get absorbed so quickly. One of the worst things really to do is drink a sugary drink on an empty stomach. Yeah.
So line it first.
I
had an analogy one day where it was like a picture of it was a kitchen sink, and the idea of, if it is a juice, keeping in this vein, it just goes straight to the bottom. Yeah. But if you pack it full of green leafy veggies, it's slowed down. Yeah. So I guess that's the same as what you're saying. Yeah, in a roundabout way. Yeah. So your kids have a savoury brekkie. Yeah. You send them off to school. Yeah. What's in their little lunch boxes?
They usually, Willie gets his lunch provided at school, but Izzy will have, her snack is generally apples and berries, and she'll have, what else? And they'll pack a yogurt, and then for lunch she'll have she loves pesto pasta. She loves cherry tomatoes, carrots and cucumbers. And in the last little thing, I feel this is so bad. This is so typical that I don't know, because I don't pack her a lunchbox every morning. But when I do, there'll be little apples or something in the last little container spot. But that's what they generally have.
And
for
dinner
lunch.
At home, do you usually, you guys are both working long hours too, right?
So, exactly. So they all eat around 5:30 downstairs with all the kids. Yeah. And they'll generally have bolognese, Japanese curry. They'll have chicken breast. They'll have fish fingers, always with vegetables.
So they don't
and with
sound
some rice.
fussy.
They're pretty good, actually. Izzy used to be fussy. She's not really anymore. Yeah.
And do you think it's just the early introduction of whole foods that have made them
and that they've just got no choice?
They've got no choice. Yeah. Yeah, what I eat is what the girls eat. And I've never been a proponent of 2 meals. This is breakfast or this is dinner, and that's what you're having. Yeah. And I think, or at least I like to think that that's have a positive influence on them, because we're sitting down at the dinner table. Yeah. That's what's for dinner.
That's what it is. And we've just never really given them any other options. Yeah. I wonder if we'll run into problems later when they have a little bit more say. Yeah. But right now they're happy and sort of healthy.
Yeah. And then coming back to that glucose piece, say we've finished our dinner. Yeah. what would be a dessert that you would, or you know, way to finish off a meal if you did have something?
For me or for the kids?
Or either.
Or both. So the kids will often have a banana when if they're like, I'm still hungry, and we'll actually say, you didn't eat enough at dinner, but you're not going to go to bed hungry. So that last night they both had bananas before they went to bed. I also think they might be going through a growth spurt, so I'm just like, you know, go off and have that.
Yeah.
But for me, Scotty and I hardly eat any sugary things after dinner. I just don't really feel like it. But Scott has got a bit of a chocolate addiction, so he'll always have a piece of chocolate after dinner. If Mum brings me home, brings from Sydney Turkish delights, I'll have a Turkish delight. That's my weird one little thing I'm obsessed with. I know.
They're the pink ones, right?
They're the pink ones in the little squares. Got
I can't do them.
I know, very sweet. Yeah, it's a bit off-brand.
Yeah,
but I think I've always
dark
loved them.
chocolate. Dark chocolate all the way.
Yeah. That's just a special treat for me.
Oh my gosh. So say hypothetically you're on the Meat Club website, you're packing 3 ingredients into your delivery bag. What are they going to be?
Definitely some beef mince for my bolognese, which we've spoken about a lot. Chicken, I love chicken breast. Chicken's a really nice lean protein, and with lots of iron.
Bone in, bone out.
I haven't really. I like bone in for me.
Yeah,
I think that the bone gives it a lot of tenderness and flavour when you cook it.
Because would you go for a chicken like a breast or a thigh? This is very polarizing.
Yeah. So I feel like the thighs are more tender.
Yeah.
I also love a drumstick.
Yeah.
Scotty's a big wing man, so I mean we can eat a whole chicken.
Yeah, fair enough.
But generally, unless a breast has been beautifully cooked, sometimes I find it can be a little bit tough. But we actually have a sous vide machine at home that we used to sous vide chicken in, which was heaven.
Yeah,
we should get that out. We were only saying the other day to make really tender chicken breast. And then my last thing would be some fish. Yeah. So we have chicken, fish, and a salmon piece or a tuna or something every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So if you could tell our listeners where they can find you, could you let us know?
Well, they can find me at my clinic on River Valley Road. It's called River Valley Doctors. Our Instagram handle is River Valley Doctors, so it should be easy to find. And our website, which is www.rivervalleydoctors.com.sg.
Thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for having
on,
me.
Thank you for tuning in to What's on Your Plate. If you enjoyed today's episode, give us a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube for more content like this. And if you're ready to fill your plate with clean, quality produce, check out themeatclub.com.sg. We deliver straight to your door so you can eat well every day. See you on the next episode.